Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to tell you the truth about how games are won and how games are saved at the highest levels of chess. Now, this does not mean that this cannot apply to you as well. So many people have this idea that to win a game of chess, you need to get a good advantage out of the opening and then slowly press and increase your advantage, outplay your opponent. That is sort of the fantasy that all of us chess players have, and those things can happen, but they are more likely when you're playing a lower rated opponent. I have played many such games. I'm personally 2100. I play an 1800. They make a few inaccuracies. You make use of them, get a bigger advantage, and then you just convert the game. But when you're playing an opponent who is just as good as you, or even if he has a lower rating or a higher rating, it's more about the level. If you're at the same level, then you're going to have to do some other things to win the games because they're usually going to be just as good as you at tactics, at strategy, at calculation. Once again, there's exceptions. You might have different styles. One player might exceed at one thing and the other player at something else, but in general, the same thing still applies. So then, how do so many games still end decisively between players of the same levels? Now, in grandmaster games, of course, that's the reason why there are so many draws, but in lower rated games, so many different swings happen, even if they're at the same level. And that's to do simply with mistakes and making use of the mistakes that your opponents make. And this is all about fighting spirit in chess. Okay, so enough yapping. Let's get into some examples. And I'm going to talk about some games that occurred recently at the FIDE Grand Swiss. One of them actually just finished today. So, first example, Vincent Keymer versus Friedrich Swane. Two Germans, and Swane played this blunder, king f7 check. Now, before that, the whole game, well, Keymer had an advantage at some point, then it all equalized out, and it looked like Swane might be able to make a draw. But he played this blunder, king f7. And what's the issue with king f7? That after queen takes a6, queen takes b2, there's now this move queen b7 check, and then because of the position of the queen, we can play a5. What was the correct move? Well, the correct move was to go king to f8. And after king to f8, if we play queen to h6 now, there's this move queen to d8 attacking this pawn. What's the big difference? You might be asking, why can't I play then queen d8 instead of queen takes b2 after the move that was played, king f7? Well, the problem is after queen takes a6, if queen d8 here, then there's this move queen a7 check, and then defending the pawn with queen to d4, defending this h4 pawn. Now, Swane blundered this, Keymer took advantage, and then he managed to eventually win the game in this endgame. So, another example, Firouzja versus Maksudlu. The game had been pretty much level the whole time. I mean, Maksudlu has got a slight advantage, but nothing really significant enough to convert the game. And what happens? Well, Firouzja played this move rook b6 in this position, which, okay, it's not as simple as it might seem that you just blundered the exchange because he didn't see the bishop. No, he calculated something, but he missed a very key move in the middle of his calculations. And that's after bishop takes b6, pawn takes b6, rook a7. After the move c4, trying to connect these pawns and then push them, there's this very key move, rook to d7, which does not allow this king to come into this side, and now this pawn will start pushing. And after this, that was pretty much it in this game. Now, one more example, but this time of a draw. A draw that occurred between Jobava and David Anton. And this one was very painful for me. I'm personally a big Jobava fan. I'm rooting for him. And finally, he's on -1. He made some other draws with a big advantage against other players. Point is, he's playing against David Anton, a very strong Spanish grandmaster. And he managed to outplay him and get into this endgame, where he did everything pretty much correctly. Also, principle of not hurrying too much. You can make a couple of moves. If there's no way for black to make progress, you can just jump around a little bit, make a few moves, see if black makes a mistake, and eventually he managed to increase his advantage by converting into this rook endgame, which turns out to be winning. After rook takes a5, I'm not going to cover all the details. I want to get to the main point. And that's here. He got himself into a completely winning rook endgame. Played c takes d3. Black is looking for some counterplay with these checks. Now this is still completely winning for white. Check. King goes back. King d4. And here, jobava, after being completely winning, outplaying his opponent, he unfortunately made this blunder, rook to c6, with the idea probably of trying to escape these perpetual checks. The problem is, after king d3, he pushes his pawn, and after rook to h2, now there's no way to avoid either perpetual check or losing one of these pawns. Rook d6 was played, and at this moment, a very precise move by David Anton. And now this is just a draw because of the fact that you cannot escape perpetual check or avoid losing this pawn or avoid losing this one as well. And so what's this all about? That one single moment in the game, no matter how well you play, can make the difference between a win, a loss, or a draw. And what does this mean? Well, we just have to focus more, don't we? It's not luck. It's not like if you're outplaying your opponent and then you made one mistake. Chess, we're accountable for everything we do. It's our own fault that we lost the game in that case. So one more game I want to show you. This one was not in the Grand Swiss. This was my own game in the Panamanian Championship of this year. I played a Caracan, had a really long game, not the most precise, although okay, the engine would disagree, yeah? The engine says I'm a very good player. Point is, we got into this position, which honestly should just be a complete draw. I have this passed pawn, but it's very simple to contain. My opponent offered me a draw like 2 times. I declined. I'm like, okay, let's just play until the very end. And guess what happened? He got into time trouble. He got a little bit nervous. And here he made this blunder, queen e3. After which I have d2, and if they take on f3, I promote on c1 with the queen. I'm up a rook, and I ended up winning the game. So, what's the main lesson? Of course, we need to work on our strategy. We need to get better as chess players in general. That's what's going to allow us to compete against higher rated players. But once we do so, this concentration and this making sure we don't miss one key moment is so important. Of course, it's easier said than done, but this is just the reality, the non-glamorous reality of how games are won or saved at top level chess, but also it can definitely apply to you no matter what your rating is. So I hope you found this video instructive. If you enjoyed it, then I would really appreciate if you could subscribe. And if you would like to work with me, then check out the website I have in the description of this video. Until next time, goodbye.